Alright, so today we're going to be installing the 034 Motorsports subframe bushing here. Alright, and it's also recommended that you replace your hardware. So we got 4 new bolts. I'm going to be starting with the ones all the way in the rear of the car. And if you look underneath the car towards the rear, that is the rearmost subframe bushing. So we're going to be removing this. Take the bolt out. There's going to be a rubber insert or bushing, and we're going to use a small pry tool to pry that out, and we'll come back once that's done. The OEM washer, pry it off, and this is what it looks like. The bolt just goes through that hole. So got that pried off. Now the next step is going to be removing the OEM isolator bushing. It is recommended that you do one side at a time so the subframe doesn't shift on you. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Alright, so we've got our plastic isolator piece removed. And like I said, this is just hard plastic that fits into that slot. So we got that removed, we got a washer removed, got the old 18mm bolt removed. So the next step is to, we're gonna lube up our 034 Motorsports insert with some urethane grease. So I'm gonna lube that up, and then this will insert into the bushing. Just make sure you line the slots up properly. Only other thing to note is that once you remove this plastic isolator piece, it'll probably be a good idea to go ahead and just make sure that rubber inside is clean. Wipe it down good, blow it out with some compressed air if possible, just to make sure your new insert seats properly. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so got our insert lubed up. It's inserted into the rubber bushing. We've got our 18mm bolt threaded, and I'm gonna just thread it in by hand. Alright, so we got our torque wrench set. We're gonna torque it down to 115 Newton meters, and then we'll come back and do our 90-degree turn. And so this is the end result. So when you reinstall your bolt, the only thing you're using is the hardware from 034 Motorsports and your bolt. You're not gonna reuse the metal washer that you took off from the factory. And of course, you're not gonna reuse that plastic isolator piece. So this piece from 034 Motorsports is a solid piece of aluminum, and it replaces the aluminum washer from factory, and it has the aluminum insert, built into it. So it's a one-piece setup. So moving on to our other two rear subframe bushings. These two are located further ahead of the previous two. But to access them, the first thing that you'll need to do is remove these two undercarriage trays. This one right here is the passenger side. And to remove it, you will need to take off this 10mm nut, which attaches it to the gas tank. You will have 2 T20 screws that attach it here and here along the side of the car. And then you will also need to loosen but not remove 2 more 10mm nuts. And those 2 nuts, the way it works is you see these tabs here, they slide into another tray, and the nuts kind of hold it in place. So all you have to do is loosen those 2. There's one here and one here. So the outside and the inner nut need to be removed, and you will be able to pop those tabs free and remove the whole tray. On the driver's side, it's a little bit different. You don't have any 10mm nuts to remove. You still have 2 to loosen here and here. But on the driver's side, you have 4 T20 screws to remove. So you will have one here, one here, one here. I'm sorry, one here and one here. And once you do that, the cover comes off. Alright, so once you have your under panel tray removed, as you can see towards the front 2 bushings, it looks a little bit different than the rear 2. You still have your 18mm bolt right here that holds your actual subframe bushing into place. But to get to it, we need to remove these 2 16mm bolts here, one here, and then there's one right here. So we'll go ahead and do. All right, so this is that support brace that I was referring to. So you got your 16mm bolt here, one here, and then here's your 18mm bolt that went in here to attach the actual bushing. So now all we have to do is go under and remove the plastic insert that's in this bushing, and then we can install our new aluminum insert. Alright, so now we are going to pry that factory washer off, and now we need to remove this plastic insulator. And that's that. Alright, so we've got our bushing insert lubed up with a little bit of grease, and we've got it lined up with the notches here in our mount. And so we're just gonna go ahead and insert it, and just notice that your bushing insert is going to go in first, and then your mount or your brace. So your brace is going to fit on top of here. Just notice that. Alright, so when you are reinstalling everything, just remember to put all your bolts in loosely by hand. That way you can allow all 3 of these bolts to align up with their corresponding holes. And then once they're all threaded loosely and lined up, you can go ahead and run them in. And so now that they're all in, we're going to go ahead and torque everything down. Of course, you want to replace this 18mm bolt here with a new 18mm. The 2/16s can be reused. All right, so we've got our 2 16mm bolts here and here, torqued to 55 Newton meters. And then we've got our 18mm subframe bolt here, torqued to 115 Newton meters plus a 90-degree turn. So just repeat these steps on the opposite side of the vehicle, and you should be good to go.